Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Tino's Time Wrestling. And on this episode, we are going to recap all the action that went down at the Elimination Chamber. And then we're going to get ready and we're going to preview a little bit of WrestleMania because there's no more pit stops, there's no more pay-per-views, there's no more premium live events until we're in Dallas, Texas for the two-night event, the most stupendous WrestleMania ever. So let's not waste any time and let's get into all of the action that went down at the Elimination Chamber. And then we're going to talk about WrestleMania. And then your boy Tino has a little bit of a surprise that's going to go down WrestleMania weekend. And I can't wait to tell you guys. So, like I said, let's not waste any more time. And the first match that happened on the card, it was Rey Mysterio versus The Miz on the pre-show. And to be honest, people, this match should have not been on the pre-show. I thought it should have been on the main card. I think that the Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss should have been on the pre-show, but that's just me. So it is what it is, whatever. But Rey Mysterio and The Miz went at it for a good 9 minutes, and this match was actually pretty good. And like I said, it was on the pre-show, and these guys were stealing the show, and it was only the pre-show. It was awesome to see. These guys just did their thing, and it was great to see. But in the end, Rey Mysterio ended up rolling up the Miz and picking up the W after Dominik Mysterio. The Miz tried to pull a little Latino heat and tried to say that Dominik hit him with the chair, but he really didn't. And then Dominik got thrown out, but it didn't matter. And Rey Mysterio picked up the win and rolled up the Miz for a 1, 2, 3. So now we'll have to see what the future holds and what Rey Mysterio and the Miz are gonna do at WrestleMania. But now it was time to get to the main card, and it was time to start the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. And I didn't know what match was going to start the card. You know, when we talked about it on my pre-show with my special guest, my man Brandon, the Real Belt guy. He's my man. I'm going to get a belt from him soon. Again, thank you, Brandon, for coming on the show. I didn't know what match was going to start the show, but it ended up being the Universal Championship match, Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. And this match was the longest match of the night. This match was 15 minutes. Or no, I'm sorry. This match wasn't the longest match of the night. I'm sorry. Take that back. Rewind. The Roman Reigns match it lasted 6 minutes. It didn't last very long. You know, it wasn't. You know, we expected it not to be very long. I said about like 5 minutes on the pre-show. I just didn't expect it to last this long. We saw some spears, saw some Superman punches, and you know, we saw what it was. But Goldberg couldn't even get up and get out of the ring. Roman tried to throw him, he like tripped and fell, and who knows what the hell he was doing at that point. But after that, Roman Reigns choked Goldberg out with the guillotine, and still, your Universal Champion, the head of the table. We are the ones, Roman Reigns. And now we get to see Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. But we'll get to the main event and we'll talk about what happened in that a little bit later on. Before we get to the men's chamber, let's talk about the women's elimination chamber. And this match, I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but it kind of felt like that they changed the amount of time that they come out. Like, I feel like back in the past, it was like 4 or 5 minutes, but I felt like today it was only like 2 to 3 minutes. And the match just felt like it was going really fast. And, you know, these women did really good and they all put on a show, but I was kind of confused in the beginning too. They showed the promo for the men's and then the women's came out and I was all types of confused and I didn't know what was going on and what chamber match was going to start or main event. But once everybody started coming out, for some reason, Liv Morgan and Nikki Cross were sitting in the ring, and then Bliss came out and Alexa Bliss entered the cage. I thought it was supposed to be the 4 people come out, they enter the cage, and then the 2 people that start the match. I don't know, people. I don't know what the hell was going on, but I felt like I was losing my mind. But once the match finally started and Nikki Cross, ASH, Nikki is almost a superhero. I want to make sure I get that right. And Liv Morgan started the match. They did their thing. They fought, like I said, for 2 or 3 minutes. Then we saw Doudrop come in and she beat the crap out of Liv Morgan. She threw Nikki Cross all over the place. And Doudrop at one point, I thought she was going to eliminate both of them and it was going to be her first. Maybe she was going to go to WrestleMania. Hey, who knows what happens at this point. But then we had Rhea Ripley come in and, it was just these 4 women beat the crap out of each other. It was nice to see. And it was, it was this, like I said, though, the match felt like it was very short. And once I look, the match only lasted 15 minutes. So they must have done something. But once Rhea Ripley came out, we finally got an elimination. And Nikki Cross, Nikki, almost a superhero, was eliminated by Rhea Ripley right before Alexa Bliss entered at number 5 by a riptide. And then we only had 5 women left. And I didn't know who was going to win. And I was really hoping that we were going to see my girl Liv Morgan come out with a W. She did end up eliminating Doudrop second after she did a phenomenal power bomb and doing her thing. Liv Morgan, you're a future champion. I continuously say it on my shows, and I'm not going to stop until you're a champion in the WWE. But she eliminated Doudrop, and that was phenomenal. But once Alexa Bliss entered, she ended up eliminating Liv Morgan with the Twisted Bliss. And the final 3 women were Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss, and then the EST. She earned it on Raw last week in the gauntlet match to enter last. And she entered, and she took no prisoners. She beat the hell out of everybody. She beat girls with their hair. She did her thing, and she proved why she's the EST at WWE. She did the KOD to Rhea Ripley, and then she did the KOD to Alexa Bliss, and going to WrestleMania to face the Raw Women's Champion. We'll talk about the Raw Women's Championship, and I think that was the next match. But Bianca Belair earned it, and now she will be main eventing WrestleMania for the 2nd straight year in Dallas, Texas, even though last year it was in Tampa Bay. But at least we won't see a rain delay this year at WrestleMania. That was crazy last year. But congratulations to Bianca Belair for winning the Elimination Chamber and moving on to WrestleMania. And, like I said, the match only lasted 15 minutes. The girls put on a really good show for what it was. But like I talked about in my pre-show, and I've talked about in other episodes leading up to the Elimination Chamber, I missed how it used to be. I missed the old style Elimination Chamber, and it's not what it once was. But the next match on the card, I thought it was Becky Lynch versus Lita, but I guess not. That's a little bit later on. The next match on the card was the tag team match between Ronda Rousey and Naomi versus Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville. And Sonya Deville came out with her arm in a sling, and she's like, I'm this and that, and I got one arm. But boy, as soon as Ronda got her arm tied behind her back, Sonya took off that sling, and she's like, hell yeah, I could use both my hands. Let's go. But I couldn't with it. And it just, this match lasted actually at the same amount of time as the Rey Mysterio and the Miz match. It lasted 9 minutes, and the 4 women did their thing. But in the end, Ronda made Sonya Deville, and we are going to see Ronda versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, and I really hope Ronda takes that championship away from Charlotte Flair, and maybe Charlotte will go to AEW or something. Who knows? But Ronda Rousey made Sonya Deville tap out with an armbar, and she picked up the win for her and Naomi. So congratulations to Naomi and Ronda Rousey getting some momentum going into WrestleMania. The next match on the card, though, was Madcap Moss versus Drew McIntyre in a no disqualification Falls Count Anywhere match. And that was my mistake on my pre-show with my man Brandon again. I said that I didn't know if it was a Falls Count Anywhere, and I was kind of blanking at the time, and it just, recording late, it is what it is. But this match was a Falls Count Anywhere match, and it was pretty good. But again, these matches just didn't last the amount of time. Maybe they had to get out by a certain time. I don't know what it was, but the longest match in this pay-per-view was 15 minutes, and it lasted at it ended at about like 150 and stuff. But I just thought that they would maybe give each match a little bit more time. But for what it was, this Falls Count Anywhere match was pretty good. And Madcap Moss landed on his head. Who knows how the hell he survived that? But then Drew McIntyre at the end, he almost cut off Baron Corbin's head. He grabbed his sword, and I swear, people, if he would have botched that, Baron Corbin's head would have been chopped off, and we would have been seeing a sight on TV that nobody would ever forget, and it would be awful. It would not have been okay. But Drew McIntyre, he won with the Claymore. He hit Madcap Moss with the Claymore, and Drew McIntyre picked up the win, and he also got some momentum going into WrestleMania. Now, let's get into the Raw Women's Championship match. I know I'm kind of talking a little bit of fast, but want to get through some of these because some of them just, they weren't like I talked about, they just weren't very long matches. But the Raw Women's Championship match was really good, and it only lasted 12 minutes. Like I said, the longest match was 15 minutes, and that was both Elimination Chambers. That's just so short of a time. I don't even know how that was 15 minutes. That's just crazy. But these women, Lita and Becky Lynch, big time backs, Lita proved that she can still fight and she can still go. And I would really love to see Lita get a WrestleMania match. Maybe we see her versus Sasha or something like that, because obviously now after this match, we'll have to see what happens. But it would just be nice to see Lita have the type of run. And she proved, like I said in this match, that she can do her thing and she can still compete with the women's. But in the end, Becky, she did the manhandle slam, and she picked up the win. And still, your Raw Women's Champion is Lita. Or I'm sorry, it should be your new Raw Women's Champion is Lita, but still, your Raw Women's Champion, the man, big time Bex, Becky Lynch. And now the two women's matches for main event are official. We're going to see Ronda Rousey, the 2022 Royal Rumble winner, versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And then on the Raw side, we're going to see Bianca Belair, the EST at WWE, versus the man, big time Bex, Becky Lynch, for the Raw Women's Championship. Maybe we'll also see a women's tag team match. We forgot the women's got a tag team too, but Lita still proved, and I would love to see like Lita versus Sasha, or Lita maybe put her in a tag team with Trish again. That would be fine with me. Maybe bring back Trish for WrestleMania. If we can bring back Goldberg, then bring back Trish. But after we saw the Raw Women's Championship match, we thought it was tag team time. It was holla, 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 like Teddy Long always likes to say. It's time for a tag team match. But as the Viking Raiders were coming out, the Jimmy and Jay, the Uso brothers, said, we don't feel like competing today. And they ambushed the Viking Raiders, and they beat the crap out of them outside of the ring. And they were just both not able to compete. And the Usos, they said, we the one, like Roman Reigns, and we the one. And they walked out, and the Viking Raiders were said that they were not able to compete tonight. So we did not see a tag team match. And that was another thing. It was like, why didn't we add some time to some of the matches if that's what you were going to do? But I don't run the show. So after we saw that, it was time for the main event. I'm going to try to sound like Mark Henry out there. But it was time for the men's elimination chamber. And, people, I am very, very disappointed in this. The Elimination Chamber was a match that, we saw Shawn Michaels win the first one. We've seen Bobby Lashley win one. We've seen Triple H win the most. We've seen so many superstars like John Cena, Batista, Randy Orton. We've seen just so many guys go in there, and Chris Jericho, and just put on a great performance and put on a great match. And this Elimination Chamber was just not good at all. It wasn't like I don't know, man. I don't know if it was just me and maybe I'm being too hard on it and maybe I should have expected this. And, I'm not like, I'm not mad of like what I wish we would have seen a better Elimination Chamber match. But the two men to start off the match was Austin Theory and Seth Rollins. And for some reason, Austin Theory and Seth Rollins came out, and then Brock Lesnar came out, and it made no sense to like Alexa Bliss. And Brock entered the chamber or the cage, and I don't know what it was. But we saw Austin Theory and Seth Rollins start off the match. And, these two men did their thing. They beat the crap out of each other. And I was feeling good. I was like, hell yeah, this is going to be a good Elimination Chamber. And then we saw our guy, bro, Riddle, my man Riddle, come in and he performed. And, he did his thing also. And then we saw the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, come in and do his thing. And, it was just nice to see. But at one point, Seth Rollins did the buckle bomb to Austin Theory. And I don't think this was supposed to happen, but the cage that was Lashley's cage broke, and the cage, like the glass, fell on Lashley, and I think his head bounced off or something. And they said that he was in a concussion protocol, but I mean, who knows what really was going on with that. But I just don't think that was supposed to happen. And Bobby Lashley was supposed to enter fifth, but he wasn't in the ring and they weren't able, and he had to leave the cage in the Elimination Chamber. So it should be interesting what happens because Bobby Lashley never lost the WWE Championship. So maybe we're going to see our an infamous, so predictable triple threat match at WrestleMania like we've seen the last few years with the women and Daniel Bryan and Edge and Roman Reigns. And, yeah. But Lashley wasn't able to compete. But hopefully our guy Lashley, or Bobby Lashley, the guy that never lost the WWE Championship, hopefully he is okay and get better, my guy, because we need you at WrestleMania in Dallas, Texas. After Lashley's buzzer went off, it was going to be like, okay, maybe they'll let somebody come in, or we've seen that in the past, Edge enter 2 elimination chambers and whatever. But in the end, Brock Lesnar said, I'm not waiting another 4 minutes and I'm going to take it into my own hands. And he broke the cage open and he literally came in there and he literally F5'd everybody. He F5'd everybody. Seth freaking Rollins, he F5'd. And then he F5'd Riddle. And then he F5'd AJ Styles. And he eliminated all 3 of them. And I was like, God damn it, here we go. And I was just like, oh my God, people. Like, what are we doing here? Why can't we have nice things? Why does Brock Lesnar gotta always be champion? And for the love of God, this better be the last time that we see this match at WrestleMania. But before Brock Lesnar was done, after he eliminated Seth freaking Rollins, Riddle, and AJ Styles, it was down to him and Austin Theory. God, I'm getting worked up over here over this, people. Let me take a sip of water. Key lime water, heck yeah, favorite water. That's better. But let me take it. I was getting worked up over that, man, because it was just like, it was irritating. And I love the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. And the 2 pay-per-views that I love the most, Brock Lesnar is one, and I don't want that at all to happen. But like I said, before Brock Lesnar was done, he took Austin Theory and he threw him like a rag doll. He threw him up and down. He threw him left and right. He was throwing him through the cages. He was just doing whatever. And then Austin Theory tried to climb it like El Torito did a bunch of years ago, like Jeff Hardy did back in like 2009. But Brock Lesnar said, you're not getting away from me. Brock Lesnar followed him. And then he did the F5 off of the cage, off onto the padding or steel or whatever the hell that is now. And then Austin Theory, they brought him back in the ring. And Brock Lesnar, he did the F5. And then he pinned Austin Theory for the 1, 2, 3. And your new WWE champion, Brock Lesnar. And now we will be seeing title versus title, the Universal Champion, the head of the table, versus the cowboy loving, the beast incarnate, the guy that we were so happy that we finally get to see, the new WWE champion, Brock Lesnar, in the main event of WrestleMania. And, you know, like I talked about, the pay-per-view was what it was. The matches were predictable. Your boy Tino went 7-0. I guess I just needed a guess to get myself a little bit of confidence. But I went 7-1. I'm sorry, because I lied. Or no, you know what? I went 8-0 because I took Becky Lynch. I said I wanted Lita to win with my heart, but I got to go with Becky Lynch. So your boy Tino finally got some good predictions, right? And maybe my man Brandon fixed all the juju that your boy Tino's had. But like I said, the Elimination Chamber was what it was. But at least, and I know this sounds bad, people, but at least it's over. And now we are officially, like I said, there's no more pit stops. And we are officially on the road to WrestleMania on April 2nd and April 3rd for the most stupendous two-night event in WWE history. And I hope everybody likes the Elimination Chamber. Like I said, it was what it was. But now that that's behind us and WrestleMania is in the front and rear, we have about a month and a half now until there's no more pay-per-views. I've heard there's going to be a Saturday Night Live main event pay-per-view around the end of April, but there's no more pay-per-views until WrestleMania. So what are we going to be doing here on Tino's Time Wrestling? Are you not going to see your boy Tino? No, of course you are. You ain't going to be able to get rid of me. We're going to be here almost about 1 or 2 times a week here on Tino's Time Wrestling, always checking out my new collectibles. But once we get closer to WrestleMania, like WrestleMania and March starts getting a little bit and it's going to be like 2 weeks, people, because you know how fast these months are flying. We're about 25% through 2022 already. But WrestleMania is going to be a fun event. We talked about it on my pre-show. The first inductee to the 2022 Hall of Fame is the Dead Man, the Undertaker. That's going to be phenomenal, and I cannot wait to see what the Dead Man has to say. And I can't wait to see who else is inducted into the Hall of Fame. And always remember to go check out Tino's Time and Tino's Time Wrestling for all of your wrestling, football, and baseball needs. And, you know, it's going to be real fun, and I cannot wait to get to WrestleMania. But I do have one big surprise and one big announcement that instead of doing my post shows like I always do, like we're doing right now on Tino's Time, starting on WrestleMania, the first night 1 and night 2, your boy Tino will be going live instead of recording and having to wait until the pay-per-view's over and me to upload and do all that nonsense. Instead, we're going to go live on YouTube, and we're going to do a live screening and a live reaction of everything that went down at WrestleMania night 1 and night 2. And if it does go good and everybody likes it, we're going to continue to do that for the post shows of all the events. Instead of doing a post show, we're going to be doing live reactions, and you can come and join me and listen and watch my live reactions of all the matches that go down. And you could listen, and I'll tell you some stories about wrestling, and we'll talk and we'll get to know each other, and yeah. But I thought that would be something cool new to try out. So I cannot wait until that comes closer and we get ready to go live. And, maybe we'll see some new special effects your boy could figure out, but we'll have to see. Maybe somebody could teach me some better stuff. But it's going to be so much fun. WrestleMania is only 42 days away, people. Where is the time gone? Like I said, the Elimination Chamber is over. We have 2 matches official for WrestleMania, the Raw and Women's SmackDown Championships, Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair, and Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch. But, of course, we're going to talk before then. But if you don't listen and you don't watch all my other episodes and you don't like seeing all my collectibles, I'm going to give you 2 matches that I think that we could possibly see at WrestleMania. I think that we could see Edge versus AJ Styles in a singles match. And I think that would be a great match. And that would be a phenomenal match to have AJ Styles maybe be the guy that faces Edge. And this is the last time we see Edge. And then AJ Styles now is the guy that literally retired Undertaker and Edge. Even though he lost, AJ Styles still is around and Edge and Undertaker aren't. And that would just be a cool type of storyline. The other match that I have that, might not happen, and we talked about Lita maybe being in a match and stuff like that, but my other WrestleMania match is like my prediction. I would love to see Sasha Banks versus Trish Stratus. That would be awesome to see, and a great match, and a match that everybody I know would love. But also remember, there is one rumored match. Apparently, the Stone Cold, the rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin is returning for one more match in Dallas, Texas at WrestleMania versus Kevin Owens. And like I said, I don't want to get my hopes up until it really happens. But if it does, people, that match is going to steal the show. And it is going to be a banger. And even if it lasts like 12 minutes, it would be nice to see Stone Cold get in the ring one last time. And I hope it is true. But I don't want to get my hopes up until I see Steve Austin show up on WWE programming and he's calling out Kevin Owens. So I hope everybody enjoyed the Elimination Chamber. I hope everybody will go and subscribe, go smash that like button, go follow at Tino's Time 1996, Tino's Time Wrestling, Tino's Time 10, everywhere you listen to your podcast, all your social medias. Go and subscribe and help your boy Tino out. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm trying to work on my camera picture, and I'm trying to make it a little better. I went out and got a ring light, but hopefully that made this video a little better. I'm going to be working on it as the episodes go on, because we do have another episode of Tino's Time Collection series coming out later this week. And, I just hope that the picture gets better and everything, because I realized how bad it was. But enough about the picture and stuff like that. One last time, go and subscribe and help your boy Tino out at Tino Time 1996. I hope everybody enjoyed this show. I hope everybody has a good and safe 41 days. And until SmackDown, the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2, besides Tino's Time Collection series, always keep an eye out on that until then. But until WrestleMania, this is your boy Tino signing out.